Welcome to Sphere News NG. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as we dive into today's top story. Former Senator Dino Melaye is taking a swipe at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, accusing it of reckless borrowing. He even claims the presidency bought a luxury yacht while Nigerians are struggling with hunger. Melaye didn't stop there. He warned that at the rate Nigeria is piling up debt, the government might soon be borrowing from fintech apps like Opay and PalmPay. And here are the facts. According to the Debt Management Office, Nigeria's total public debt has risen to 149.39 trillion naira, nearly $100 billion as of March 2025. That's a sharp increase compared to just a year ago. And with debt servicing costs climbing, critics say the government is leaving future generations to pay the price. The presidency has pushed back, calling Melaye's claim political noise and defending its borrowing policy as necessary for funding development. But the question remains, should luxury spending like yachts or new aircrafts come at a time of austerity?
Let's begin what's trending. Former Kogi West Senator Dino Melaye has launched a scathing attack on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, accusing it of reckless borrowing and spending. Melaye made the allegation on our nightly news program Arise Prime Time, stating that despite securing billions of dollars in loans, the government's actions have led to massive hunger across the country. Melaye also questioned the government's claim of increased revenue generation, asking why more loans are necessary if the country's finances were improving. He went on to suggest that the government's financial recklessness could reach a point where it would be forced to seek loans from private financial technology companies like Opay and MoneyPoint. Let's take a look.
This government is one of the most reckless governments in the history of this country.
How do you mean?
The president who said he wanted to come and curb wastages bought a yacht. That yacht that the president bought has never been to the perimeter, territorial area of Nigeria. It's between Monaco and Paris. And what do we need a yacht for? In a time of austerity, in a time of pervasive hunger like this? The president also, within few months in office, bought a presidential jet that cost Nigeria billions.
No, you said it was a gift.
I am telling you that it was purchased. Gift by who? Gift has to be declared. And they called it a gift because the money used in the purchase of that aircraft was not appropriated by the National Assembly. That is why it was tagged a gift. Then again, since Tafawa Balewa, Azikiwe, up down to Buhari, every president and prime minister in this country used Mercedes-Benz S-Class as their official vehicle. The president is using a bomb jammer Mercedes-Benz, the same type that Trump is using in America. And you say you want to curb wastages? The same president. In the 8th Senate, the budget of the National Assembly was 150 billion. From 150 billion, today the president have increased the budget of the National Assembly to over 370 billion. I can catalog all this. Bought a yacht, bought a Cadillac, bought an aircraft, increased the money of the National Assembly, and I've borrowed like no other president in history. If you are making more money, then why are you borrowing?
Yeah,
and we will not be surprised if the president starts borrowing from Opay and MoneyPoint very soon.
Opay and MoneyPoint. When you say leave our Okada,
leave the Okada ride and POS agent money alone, because obviously many of them
use just Okada ride. Plenty
many
people
use Opay, but
please, they say the president leave our Opay alone. Let me take this tweet from Cole 5, who wrote, please, President, leave Opay out of this, you're borrowing. But to be honest, what exactly is Tinubu government borrowing for? Infrastructure, health sector, educational sector, electricity, mega city, poverty alleviation. What exactly gone? Because Koyewa, Dr. Martinez, that's what this guy is saying. Koyewa, go ahead.
Very quickly, I think context should be important in this matter.
Yeah.
Senator Dino Melaye is a chieftain of the ADC, an opposition association or party, whatever label you may want to use. So you do not expect that he will praise the Tinubu administration. And he's a very articulate, outspoken personality. So he's accusing the government of borrowing. Now let's look into the details. President Tinubu said, oh, we have met revenue projections. We're making a lot of money from non-oil, and we are not borrowing from Nigerian banks, domestic borrowing. Now, in that regard, the administration was praised for freeing the space, the fiscal space, the financial space for private businesses in Nigeria. If government is not borrowing heavily from domestic banks, then businesses will have more space, more leg room for them to borrow. So that's how I'm surprised that Senator Melaye is talking about borrowing from Money Point and OPay. I don't think I don't think that is the kind of money that the Nigerian government will be looking for in terms of capacity. The other claim that he made is about presidential yacht. He said President Tinubu has a yacht paid for by Nigerian taxpayers between Monaco and wherever that the president of Nigeria is using. That is not true. Now, when this issue of the yacht came up, it wasn't even the Tinubu administration that talked about yacht. It was the Buhari administration in the 2023 supplementary budget. And at that time, when the controversy came up and people were saying, oh, why yacht for president and all that, the Navy, the Nigerian Navy came forward and said, no, it was a vessel being used for naval operations that was named presidential yacht. It's not for President Tinubu. So it's not something that was purchased for luxury. But you know, in this country, in politics, you can bring up anything that is sensational. But I think that what I've provided can be fact-checked because it seems to be the empirical fact. It's the empirical fact on this particular issue. Maybe the Navy maybe they can contradict me, but that's what I remember.
What was the other thing? What's the other thing?
Finally,
empirical.
Finally, the point made by Senator Melaye is accusing the government of reckless spending.
Yes.
Okay, now many Nigerians will say, well, there's a lot of spending. However, it's not borrowing that is the problem, as economists will say.
Yes.
It is what you do with the borrowing. Are you providing the infrastructure? Are you being productive? Is there, efficiency within the system? Now, on all of those points, about efficiency, about performance, then, of course, Senator Melaye will seem to be on terra firma to join other Nigerians in saying we expect better performance in terms of infrastructure, in terms of welfare, in terms of security.
You're right.
There are all those histrionic, theatrical points he was making about OPay, Money Point, presidential laws. I hope I've helped to provide the context.
Yes. Well, we know that Dino Melaye loves the lavish lifestyle. I see him on the gram wearing those really nice shoes and all. So he will know good things.
Are you admiring him?
I mean, I like the pictures. Now, wouldn't you like a flag? I'm just kidding.
You didn't answer my question.
I am not.
Are you admiring him?
I am not. I've seen him on Instagram. Can I say that? But he loves the lavish lifestyle. He said Tinubu was riding the same Mercedes as Trump. I don't think I've seen it, but I've seen Tinubu's Escalade. You have seen it, right? And I think we played that on. But wait, before I come to you, because I know that you want to speak, Dr. Martin will not let me rest. Free OG. Well, in another development, because he also talked about Tajuddin Abbas during that interview, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has clarified reports that he condemned the Tinubu administration's borrowing during a presentation at the West Africa Association of Public Accounts Committees conference on Monday. The Speaker, who was represented by Julius Ihobere, revealed alarming statistics, noting that Nigeria's public debt to GDP ratio currently stands at around 52%, which is significantly above the statutory ceiling of 40%. He also expressed concern as Nigeria's total public debt has now soared to a staggering 149 trillion naira. While in a swift rebuttal, the Speaker's special advisor on new media clarified that while the Speaker is concerned about the country's rising debt, he does not believe all borrowing is bad. Instead, he views public debt as a potential tool for growth, provided it is managed prudently. Now, let me take Olalekan's tweet. They wrote on X, the real problem isn't public debt itself. It's the absence of accountability and transparency in how Nigeria's leaders manage public funds. Over the years, billions have been borrowed from the $3.4 billion IMF loan during COVID-19 to billions from the World Bank and China Exim Bank for power, rail, and road projects. Yet, ordinary Nigerians are asking, where are the lights? Where are the jobs? Where are the impact on daily life? It is hypocrisy to praise debt as a ladder to growth while ignoring that most of our past loans have only enriched a few. I particularly picked that tweet, and I really think that, they were quite apt in most of those comments. In the meantime, Tajuddin Abbas's aide on new media says his main message was a call for stronger parliamentary oversight and accountability. He also stressed that lawmakers have a constitutional duty to ensure that borrowed funds are used transparently for tangible development. As I highlighted, roads, schools, and hospitals. He also praised Tinubu's administration for its efforts to increase non-oil revenue, which he says is helping to reduce the country's reliance on borrowing. And I'll take another tweet before I come to you, Ayo. Tolu wrote on X, borrowing is not the real issue. Every nation borrows, which is a fact. The real question is, what are we using the money for? Borrow, but let it go into, again, I want to highlight it more, roads, jobs, things that grow the economy, not waste and consumption.
Absolutely.
Ayo.
Spot on. Some of the biggest countries in the world that have a high debt to GDP ratio include Japan, include Singapore, include the United States of America. They are one of the highest in the world according to rankings. And the difference between countries like that and Nigeria is that we see the evidence of what borrowing is for. Case in point, when the Tinubu administration came into power, remember the World Bank loan in order to mitigate or provide a safety net for the most vulnerable Nigerians who would be most impacted following the two major economic reforms he introduced, the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira. The issue a lot of times is that the people do not see or feel the impact of the borrowing.
That's the main concern.
Great points around road construction, great points around the healthcare. It's on this very table we talk about the deplorable state of healthcare in Nigeria.
Every day.
It's on this table we talk about the deplorable state of education and the state of our classrooms and infrastructure development in Nigeria. And so what happens is that we see borrowing high, our debt to GDP ratio is going higher, about 40 to 50% currently, yet we still have high levels of people feeling the impact of the reforms that he's talked about. Then we see a lot of servicing of loans or a lot of servicing of recurrent projects, no capital project, no project that would in turn make money for the nation, which is a critical issue that we currently have. And so what we are calling on, and I do think that Honorable Abbas made a very salient point in his address, whether through his main point or through the clarification, whereby the importance of oversight functions by the National Assembly was emphasized.
Right.
When the president has to secure a loan, he needs approval from the Assembly. Unfortunately, when they do give this approval, it's just signature and leave it. There's no going back to check that what the money was asked for or intended for was actually used. It's just very simple. Nigerians understand the need to borrow because we need revenue, even though they've said that they've done better with their revenue generation. But what do they do with the money that is borrowed? That is a conversation that we're asking. And where do these loans come from? How do we service the loans?
Before I could comment on both stories really quickly and then we move
So
to the
I
next
think
one.
the formative word here was what I asked Paul Alaje about, which is the cost-benefit ratio. And I think until Nigeria has a threshold at which we calculate a cost-benefit ratio, what is the cost of doing a project? What is the cost to us, borrowing plus interest? And what is the benefit of the project? So will the project be able to pay back the cost accrued to it? If you are to put most project parameters that this government borrows for, it does not pass the cost-benefit ratio reflection. It passed the sentiment-benefit reflection threshold. So why do government do projects in this country? Because of the region that gives me the largest votes. And that's why you see politicians arguing that, oh, you've done more projects in Lagos compared to the Southeast and all of that. Anybody that comes to power says, how can I do more projects in my region to be able to suit my people's interest, rather than the cost-benefit analysis? So most of the projects the government claims they are doing, have they ever looked at the cost-benefit analysis? If you do not solve that problem, then you will waste the money you are borrowing. A great instance in point is the case of COVID. We drew down 30 trillion in ways and means for COVID. We said we were used to buy infrastructure in isolation centers. Till today, where are the ventilators we bought? That 30 trillion, if was properly spent, will have been able to revolutionize the healthcare sector, even if it's the primary healthcare sector. But today, we've squandered that money. That debt is still off our books. That's why we've securitized it. And we've achieved nothing. And that's the problem of Nigeria. Today, over 15%, over 80% of the primary healthcare centers in the country are still in a deplorable state. But guess what? We had the infrastructure capital, the money, 30 trillion during COVID, to be able to fix the healthcare sector, but we did nothing. So if we don't answer the question of cost-benefit ratio, we'll start having this argument back and forth. And please, with due respect, Dino Melaye should stop all these theatrics. If you want to criticize, criticize. Because if you want to look, last week it was reported in the news he was having back and forth with the tax authorities. Has he sorted that out?
I don't know. You can't ask me about Dino.
No, it was reported in the news. I don't know if he sorted that out.
You
know, so if you want to criticize, criticize, please.
But like Dr. Bati has said, the president is not going to go and borrow money from OPE. But of course, he was only joking. It was really.
That's the breakdown of Dino Melaye's fiery critic and the numbers behind Nigeria's rising debt. The presidency insists borrowing is necessary. But many Nigerians are asking at what cost. We will keep tracking the facts, the politics, and what it all means for you. Once again, this is Sphere News NG. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss our latest updates.